I've gotten my first Ready Post package. I've got to look into this. These have to be more expensive than other brands of shipping supplies because they come from USPS. They must be more expensive. We're going to look into Ready Post. It reminds me of the old Sure Post system, which was shut down 10 months ago. But this is a Ready Post delivery, my first one. Good morning. As an eBay reseller, I spend a lot of time thinking about shipping, different carriers, shipping programs, packaging, the best way to ship items, especially now that we're solidly into Q4 and packages are going to be buzzing around the country. They're going to intermix packages from resellers and packages for friends and family and relatives. Well, this morning, I pulled my first Ready Post package out of the mailbox. And at first, I thought it was a Sure Post package. But Sure Post, that program was shut down about 10 months ago back in January. And it was a collaboration between UPS and USPS. FedEx had a similar program. I tried it years ago when it first came out and stopped using it as soon as the first package arrived empty. The shipping tube didn't have anything in it when it got there. And it started an argument about who was responsible for paying the claim because the package is handled by both entities. In the case of Sure Post, it's UPS and USPS. The package would go into the UPS system, and then the post office would take over the final leg of delivery. Well, they shut that down back on January 1st, 10 months ago, and I think the post office even came out and said if people dropped them off Sure Post packages, they'd dispose of them. They weren't going to return them. They weren't going to forward them. They were done. The contract was over. So when I pulled the package out today, I was like, is that a Sure Post? But I flipped it over and the packaging said Ready Post. And her aunt is the first person I've known to actually use the program. And probably it was convenience. She was at the post office in their little town. The packaging was there. They could print the label, but she paid a little extra for that convenience. I don't think I'd ever use the program as a reseller, but it may work out sometimes for people who have items to go to relatives or to friends. So what I actually had this morning was a Ready Post package. Now, Ready Post is a USPS program, but it's not a shipping program. It's a program that provides packaging. You still have to buy the shipping. Now, the Ready Post program is to get you shipping supplies. If you go onto the USPS website or you walk into some post offices, they'll have the Ready Post packaging. Now, it's not an extensive program. If you look on the website, they only offer a couple of sizes of bubble mailer. I wrote them down here. They offer a 12 by 19 that they call a large, and you pay $79 to get 36 of them currently. They also offer what they call a small. You get 24 of them for $35, and they're just a branded bubble mailer. That doesn't get you the postage. And a lot of people get confused at this point, and that's one of the reasons I want to make this video. If you're a reseller, or if you're just shipping packages for the holiday, you need to be aware that Ready Post is just another type of packaging. You can get some tape, you can get some bubble mailers, you can get a couple of sizes of boxes, and I think they offer a tape gun. But they're expensive. They're not free. This particular package was coming from one of Rosie's aunties. Rose has one natural aunt, and she collected a whole bunch of aunties through the marriage of her parents, and marriages, I should say. But one of Rosie's aunties was noticing that she had an accumulation of hand-crocheted doilies that were made by Rose's mom, who has since passed. So the aunt decided it would be a nice thing to put them in a package and send them. Fantastic. They arrived today. Beautiful handiwork. Rose has already put one to use underneath a dolphin. It's an example of a person who is shipping something that isn't a reseller. And there are some common misconceptions about things like Ready Post packaging and how it compares to other programs offered by USPS. And that's what we're going to get into, because I'm all about how to ship in the most economical manner to get the package to arrive safely to its destination, especially during the holidays. Okay, so Ready Post is a program. You can find it on the USPS website. And as Rose commented, they're nice quality. They're USA made. They look good. Got a nice weatherproof seal on the outside. It arrives safely. That's the first thing to note. I've gotten some poly mailers and bubble mailers over the years, including some flat rate ones from the post office that were not made well. You had to put extra tape on them because the seams looked like they were ready to tear out any moment. So quality is key. But if you take a look at the website offers you a couple of sizes. Let's see, I've got them here. The large ones are 12 by 19, and for 36 of them, you're going to pay $79. Yes, that's the key point. Ready Post packaging is not free. It is provided by the USPS, either via the website or at the counter in some post offices, but it's not free. So the large one, 12 by 19, 36 of them for $79. They also offer a small. You get 24 of them for $35. Now, if you compare those to non-branded, non-postal branded, non-eBay branded bubble mailers, you're paying a lot per mailer. It'd be cheaper to go out to Walmart. It'd be really cheaper to just simply order them online from a company specializing in generic mailers. But that has to do often with convenience. If you're a person who only occasionally ships an item, you're probably going to go to the post office, you're going to stand in line, you're going to get to the counter, and you're going to say, I want to ship this thing. What have you got? What can you offer me? And they reach under the counter, they turn around and grab from a shelf a Ready Post package. If you look on the website, they offer mailers, a couple of boxes, tape, and I think a tape gun. But it's not an extensive offering. But they are handy, they're convenient, especially if you only need one. Now, interestingly enough, the one Rose's aunt used does not appear on the USPS website. It was, in fact, I wrote it down here. It was something like 10 by 14. So the aunt paid for that mailer. She probably, in the small town that Rose grew up in, went right into the post office and did exactly as I said. They sold her a mailer. She put the product in. They sold her a label. They sold her a Ground Advantage label. They sold her a label that cost $11.10. And it's not a heavy package, but it was traveling from Michigan to west of Seattle. Because remember, Ground Advantage labels go by weight, size, distance. This is a poly-coated, weather-resistant, padded flat rate envelope. It's one of the many package sizes available under the USPS flat rate program. Now, unlike the Ready Post, which you pay by the ounce or the pound, you can put 70 pounds in the flat rates. So if what she was shipping was actually heavy but small, this would have been a better buy. These are free. All the flat rates are free, but sometimes your post office won't stock them. You'll have to go online, get a USPS account, and then you order them. They get delivered to your door, so you have to do that a little in advance. But you can order these, they'll deliver them, and then you can use them. And the packaging is free, because shipping items for the holidays, especially if you're not a reseller, it's a two-part equation. You have to acquire the packaging, and you have to acquire the label. All right, free packaging, always good, unless it comes with restrictions, which these do. With these, you have to ship on a priority label. So sometimes what happens is that you can ship a Ground Advantage in a similar size package cheaper. But as I mentioned, Rose's aunt paid $11.10 to ship a fairly lightweight item. The counter price for these currently, I wrote that down, $12.85. So that's about $1.70 difference. But the envelope, the packaging is free. So it would have meant that if she had chose this envelope, even at the counter, instead of the Ready Post, the price would have been about the same. But during the holidays, you also worry about speed of delivery. Anything in a priority package should arrive quicker than anything in a ground advantage packing. Priority has, wait for it, priority. Okay, so if you print your label yourself at home, and if you're an eBay reseller, obviously you can print in eBay, but if you're just sending a package, a one-off, to a relative, to a friend, there are lots of programs out there like Pirate Ship. I use Pirate Ship regularly, and you can get the discounted rate. You can get a rate cheaper than the counter price by printing the label yourself. For instance, I pay $10.50 when I print a label for this. At the counter, you pay $12.85. I pay $10.50. So there's a savings. So if you're shipping a lot of packages, even if you're not a reseller, it would behoove you to get some of these, or to go out to your local Walmart or Target, or go onto eBay and order some generic bubble mailers. You also have a wider size range when you do that. I mentioned that I first thought I was pulling out a SurePost package because I had never received a Ready Post. Normally I order things from eBay or Amazon. Amazon has their own branded packaging. Most eBay sellers are savvy to the fact that anytime you buy your packaging from the post office, you're going to pay more. So they don't. So that was literally the first time I had seen or received a Ready Post package. I don't recommend using them unless convenience and speed are really the overriding concern. If you've got the item, you're standing in line, you're at the post office, and it's got to go, then a dollar or two difference isn't going to break you. But you should be aware of it. For instance, next week, Rose and I have to make a trip around to the city, and we'll probably continue the trip and do an auction pickup up in Renton. But the reason for the trip is that we have to get something small to our daughter Tanya, who is currently on the road in her converted bus. They converted it into an RV, and her family are doing a big circuitous trip down in Central America. They've left Mexico where they live. They've headed south. They've crossed the border, and they're enjoying the holidays on a road trip. I'll include some pictures of that because I laughed when Rose and I finished the retaining wall this week because we were moving block. Well, the projects they're seeing, they involve some block, big projects. I wonder how many people were involved in the making of some of these temples. That's what I wanted to talk about. Ready Post, the decline of SurePost, whether I use those programs in which USPS is contracted for delivery with other companies. It always caused a problem once there was an issue. If they lost the item, if it was delayed, it was the question of who paid the claim. And the first time it happened to me, it was a lot of finger pointing. I don't think either one of them paid. So I stopped using the programs because often when you look at the price difference on a screen on eBay, the price difference isn't really justifiable when you save a few pennies over here, but you worry about it. Anytime two entities handle your package instead of one, the risk goes up exponentially, in my opinion. So I'm Brian. I'm at the lake. We're well into the holidays. Packages are flying. Well, hopefully they're being handled by the carriers carefully and they're arriving on time. We don't want packages to be flying. I'm Brian, Cabin Fever. Pack something. Go out and ship it. Enjoy your holidays. The rain has arrived in earnest. It's Standing water on the roads, wipers on high, fall color. Life in the Pacific Northwest.